Be available. Um, we could talk about that. Thank you so much. Is it right now? Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. I could say so many things. I mean, your words were just your honesty and your wisdom that you shared with us were really remarkable. Let's give Daniel another hand.
Thank you.
A few words that come to mind, and I could say many, are funny, poignant, hopeful, powerful, informative, and moving. So thank you, Daniel. And as you said, and I'll say it again, really stuck with me, and I'm going to keep this here. Autism is just another way of being human. So thank you, Daniel. And without further ado, we'd like to move on to our panel discussion, and Daniel has graciously agreed to moderate the panel. So if our panelists could come up to the stage, Daniel will kick it off.
Thanks, Nicole. So we are fortunate enough to have a panel of 5 adults on the spectrum here to talk to us today. They're graciously volunteering their time to participate in a discussion about what life has been like as they transition to adulthood. And I'd like to ask the panel members to be seated now as I introduce them. So we have Stephanie, Erin, Christine, Stephen, and Paul. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is ask each person a couple of questions. Each person will have 2 minutes to answer each question, and we'll take it from there. So, first question, starting with Stephanie. As you became an adult, what was the goal that you wanted to achieve?
Well, can you repeat the question? Repeat the question.
When you became an adult, what was a big goal that you wanted to achieve?
Well, I wanted to do things that I was interested in that kept me occupied and not bored. So my goal now is, now that I'm in college, I changed my major to marketing, more specifically social media marketing, due to my Twitter page that I have. And I just want to keep going with what I like to do, being on social media.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm kind of a marketing person myself. Okay, so, Erin.
Definitely my first goal as I became 18 was trying to step outside my comfort zone itself. From my final year at high school to my years at college, my goal is trying to bring myself to the point, physically, mentally, and emotionally, where I could seek and achieve more out of life. And only by trying different activities, tasks, learning new skills, because I wouldn't normally have thought were possible, I was originally uncomfortable with these things, or originally had no interest. So that's where it comes to stepping outside your comfort zone, expanding your interests, stepping outside what you're normally comfortable with. I've achieved levels that were not normally possible. To some degree, just as this gentleman right here is one magnificent fellow, I achieved levels that most neurotypical individuals have trouble keeping up with. That I did not see coming.
Great. I think we all kind of get that kind of stuff for sure.
Gifted, not disabled.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Different, not disabled. I like that. Okay, Christine.
All right. When I left high school, my first goal was to make new friends and new friends. Sorry about that. I made lots of new friends in long ago and transitioned from in here. Hung out together at school, but we don't get together outside of school very often. It's not very easy to me to get together with friends because of three things. I am anxious about using the phone to call friends. Second, it is hard for me to express what I want to say. Last, it is hard to come up with a plan. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You know, I think that kind of thing with friends and social is difficult for a lot of us, honestly. Stephen, what was a goal that you had when becoming an adult?
You have to press the button. Oh, okay. Well, when I became an adult and I started getting in college and learned to be more independent, as well as learn to be more flexible with certain things. It was difficult at times, but I have learned to cope better with things and get through them. And I've learned to make new friends and form new relationships and accomplish certain things that I never thought I would ever accomplish. And in the end, they made me feel pretty good about myself. And it inspired me to keep going forward and continue what I am doing and to hopefully be more successful in the future.
Thanks so much. And finally, Paul.
Okay. For my goal once graduating high school was basically trying to be self-sufficient. I can tell you that was not an easy goal. I think the thing is, you have to keep reinventing. I had to keep reinventing myself. When I graduated from high school, I was introduced to voc rehab. Basically, it was a joke. It seems that I had like 5 different caseload managers left for different reasons, and then finally, my first break was when my uncle asked for me to work for him for his practice, and I said sure, and I called up the my last voc rehab person. I said I just found a job. Basically, I was asking them to help me find a job because I was working a job on the weekends for about 6 hours the whole week. Basically, he said, okay. I never heard from voc rehab ever since. And that was in 2012. It's 2017 now.
Whoa. Okay, well, you know what? Those were great responses, guys. We're gonna move on to our next question here. What is something that you struggle with as an adult outside of your job, and how do you deal with it, Stephanie?
Outside of my job, I have really bad social anxiety, but I just move myself forward. I go out and I enjoy fun. I'll go out in big crowds, even though I don't like it. I'll do it anyway. Even though I'm not a big my friends have big parties or whatever, I'll go there anyway and just talk with people. I just force myself to do things that I'm not comfortable doing.
Great. And Aaron, same question.
All right, let me see if I can answer this in less than 2 minutes. For start, we're making this into a twofold part. For the starters, life lessons, common sense. Yes, for some of you, it's so rare it's a superpower, I know. Communication skills, as this gentleman has explained, and trying to build a worldview perception of the world itself to deal with how complex life is. So beyond black and white, try to understand the gray morality. The worldview involves trying to see from as many perspectives as possible, regardless of who is right or wrong, and comparing them in as many different scenarios. Asking people who have different viewpoints. It's also good so you can compare. Now, it will never be easy to tell right or wrong. Nobody's psychic, and not many kids are born psychologists. But being able to and being willing to ask as many questions as possible, that should not be looked down on. And if we're talking about school settings, then teachers should actively encourage it, regardless of how they may feel annoyed. Teachers are meant to encourage growth, not stifle it. As for the other three, life lessons, common sense, communication skills, again, just as a mother is the fashion expert, and believe it or not, she actually wielded and let me wear this. By having different people in your life that you can ask for help or advice, a big sister, a big brother, a mentor or buddy, you're able to learn, to grow, and continually improve outside of the household or school settings that people were in before they reached adulthood. It's not impossible to obtain independence.
That's great. Thanks so much. I completely agree with what you said.
So a little over the 2 minute, but I think we made it.
No, you were right on time. Right on time. You had about 5.5 seconds to spare. Christine, what was something that you struggled with as an adult besides the job?
All right. Sometimes I have a hard time getting my thoughts out and communicating with people. I practice my communication skills at the community school and at home. I participate in a young woman's social group on Tuesday nights. We talk about our feelings and practice listening to each other. I enjoy it, but talking is still hard for me. Thank you.
Well, you're doing a great job of it so far. Stephen.
Yes, sir. Well, one thing that I struggle with very, very terribly is relationships with women. No offense, ladies. Sorry. As well as trying to hold a job because of certain social issues, as well as having the difficulty understanding intentions of others. And sometimes not knowing what to do during free time or on weekends, as well as not getting frustrated sometimes, which is really hard for me because I get overwhelmed very, very easily during certain situations, and I can't multitask like a lot of people want me to do, but I always try to be as efficient as I can, and I'm currently working on different ways on how to approach and flirt with women appropriately so they could understand what I'm trying to say, and so they could appreciate me more, and that I can appreciate them for who they are.
I feel you, man.
Thank you, sir.
Paul.
So basically, for the struggling part outside of work, I say it basically is trying to compromise with others on the spectrum or with who are not on the spectrum. It's compromising and multitasking is really tough for me. I can't do. You tell me to pat my head and rub my belly, I probably would do one or the other. I tried to tell myself. My mom's best advice is, my mom gives me several good advice. In this case scenario, I would say her best advice: think before you speak.
Fair
I
enough.
don't think anyone actually listens to that advice nowadays. Okay, maybe they do. Sorry.
It's very true. Okay, now, next question. Stephanie, what challenges do you experience while at work, and is there anything about them that you think you can overcome?
I work at Publix. I'm a cashier bagger. So I told myself I could never become a cashier, and I've been a cashier now for a little over a year now. And my biggest challenge is eye contact with people. So I have to look past people and not like really like at them, because if I look at them, I get flustered. I can't do it. And then there's like other challenges that have happened at work. Like there's one time we've had to call 911 on a customer because he was having a diabetic seizure, and I literally had to like get out. I was having a panic attack. And then there's times where we get so busy during the holidays, especially the day before Christmas. People go last minute Christmas shopping for food. And I literally had to walk away, and I sat down at the table, and the boss is like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Nothing, I just had to sit down," and I was about to explode. So it's harder for my bosses to understand what's going on and what they don't understand what goes on with me. So
You know, that's a common experience, and I'll give you a tip for the eye contact. Look at their forehead. They'll never know.
that's
Or the nose.
gonna,
Not the eyes, but between the eyes, the nose itself. If it's a Jewish one, you can look on forever.
I look at hair color.
That works.
that works.
Okay, Aaron, go.
All right, testing, good. The challenges that I face at work happen to involve the workplace etiquette of the office. In other words, I have to learn the unspoken rules, the ones that they don't tell you of the workforce, and being able to ask your supervisor or employer that hires you about those rules, or a safe way to hold on to your job rather than lose it by accidentally making mistakes. So let's say you move into beyond bagging or workplace stuff, and you can really do something great in the office. One of the great things about supports is that you can have job coaches. Blake, I know you're there. Thank you so much for your help with Briggs. I've kept my job for about 3.5 years now. Other challenges I experience at work are trying to show other management in the company how I can add value to the company itself. So even if for all their good intentions, what companies don't want to see is if you can show them to look at your autism and say, not here's a person who's disabled, but here's a person who can really do something big if I hire him or her, be it products, services, efficiency, etc. Not only will they provide those supports and accommodations, they'll give you opportunity for career and salary. And as I said, for over 3 years, I've reached that point. I thought I was the only one, but here I am sitting with another example of a communication specialist on either sides of me. And for a long time now, and I still see it as such, I cannot help but appreciate the irony of us as autistics teaching other people communication skills. Now there's some food for thought.
Now that irony has not been lost on me for a day, honestly. And you know what we call it? We call that the hidden curriculum, all the hidden rules of the workplace. And I always find, it's best to find like a mentor or a safe person at the work who does understand those things that you can talk to. I know.
Everyone has job coaches, so it helps to have the
Exactly. Exactly. We need to be getting that stuff into workplaces much more than we are. Okay, so Christine, what are some challenges that you faced at work, and how do you overcome them?
All right. staying on task is hard. I stay on tasks by not looking at the clock. Also, I have a list of tasks to do at work each day, and that helps me stay focused. I work at Tzatzikis, and sometimes I have to fill 2-ounce cups with dressings. It is hard to pour in just the right amount. I keep practicing and am getting better. I have a job coach that comes to my work once a week for an hour. She helps me with tasks that are hard for me. Thank you.
I'm sensing a distinct job coach theme. Yeah, totally agree. Okay, Stephen. What is a challenge that you face at work, and how have you overcome it?
Well, I would really love to work somewhere in the automotive industry, and I would love to open up my own car company sometime in the future, car customization company. And but the struggles I have in the workplace is relationships with certain coworkers, and another thing is handling multiple tasks, which a lot of you know is multitasking, which I cannot do. And I always think to myself, if I have to multitask, I should have an army of clones or robots help me, or I should have multiple arms. That way I can handle all these tasks more efficiently, so I can make all my authority figures who have control and power and authority over me happy and satisfied, and preventing them from getting mad at me.
Hey, sometimes I find it hard to do one thing, let alone multiple, so I understand.
Thank you.
Paul.
Well, it's well, since I work in my uncle's practice, plus I have a second job at the Cheesecake Factory. Yeah. So I had a little issue. I had some issues this week, which I can't go into because of HIPAA. But I could tell you, I remember I do EKGs on male patients, and this patient, I go in and I'm saying, I asked the patient to remove their shirt because I have to get to their chest, and he says, "What for?" I said, "Doctor," "the doctor ordered an EKG on you." "Why? Can you bring him in here?" "Well, I know." And I said, "Okay." So, but the protocol is to bring his head nurse in, which I do. And he talks to the head nurse, still screaming at her. And then she said, "I'm getting Dr. Kaufman." Well, the patient didn't wait for my uncle. So an hour later, I take another patient down to her bus because she's waiting for my mobility. And then out of the corner of my eye, the gentleman says, "What happened?" I said, we were just wondering about you. The doctor's is waiting to talk to you." He didn't come back up. I was like saying, and on a day-to-day basis, when I hear really silly, stupid things, I'm just like laughing my head off and saying, these people don't have common sense. I hear like phone calls from his receptionist. "You having trouble breathing? Hang up, call 911.
So in other words, what you're saying is that there are going to be plenty of times where the autistic has far more common sense than the neurotypical individual.
Correct.
Now, here's another irony, isn't there?
It's definitely true. There's, you know what, you guys, I find you guys lie to each other a lot, for one thing. I'm just going to say it.
Don't deny it.
Yeah, it's definitely true. And we're going to move on to our final question. What do you think parents and teachers could do to help prepare a child or teenager with ASD for adulthood? Stephanie.
With me, it's learning how to step out of my comfort zone. Like today, I've never been on a panel discussion my entire life, and this is my first time. And I'm doing it. And just learning how to communicate well with other people, and I don't know. That's
Great. Social skills.
Social skills.
Yep, so important. Aaron.
Testing, good. Okay. Let's think back to the former 3 questions that I answered, and now that will bring us to this. And you can look at the video afterwards. You'll get you'll be able to see it somewhere. Community and exposure. Those 2 was how I was able to reach where I am today. Stepping outside my comfort zone, learning different skills and life lessons, making friends, becoming a great boyfriend, which I didn't think was humanly possible. Achieving development. All are accomplished in communities that give you the opportunities for exposure in and outside the school settings and households. The autistic will need to be carefully exposed, and when I say carefully, given what some of our members have gone through, it's so you won't be overwhelmed or faced with too much stimuli. Different experiences, different communities, various assistance. As long as you control the environment, control the setting, it won't be too much. The stress anxiety can be kept at a low enough level, and you reach a higher level of development that allows the autistic to achieve different forms of independence and maturity. So here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave it at this. For the parents, for the teachers, for the big brothers, the big sisters, guide your students and children through as many different scenarios as possible in ways that are not overwhelming, and they will, like I have, and so many others before me and after me. We will make leaps and bounds that will happen in months that normally will take years to make. And I'm not just talking about common sense or being honest with yourself and others. It is possible. It's completely so. It just requires everyone working together and a little bit of time. But from what happens on here on out, that's going to be left to the infinite realm of possibilities that can be achieved by all of us. So let's leave it at this. Good
Great.
luck!
All right. You're pushing those limits. 1 second left. We're good. Good stuff. Okay, Christine.
All right. Yeah. A program to help with transition after high school is important. I wasn't ready to have a job right after high school. Parents can help their kids learn skills to be more independent. My parents have helped me learn to do laundry, shop, and take care of myself. Everyone should treat people with disabilities